Hello to all my leaders out there. We are in Module 12. There are 4 lessons in leadership necessities. We are getting ready to start in lesson 1 that is titled Power versus Influence. Authenticity is a must. So let's get started here. Okay, so when we talk about authenticity, remember, authenticity is tied to credibility. People find you credible when they find you trustworthy, comfortable in being yourself. If you're not comfortable being yourself, you're being fake, as I said, and you're trying to emulate someone else's style or do what the textbook says you can do. Any great leader can tell you that when they became great is when they became comfortable with themselves. Okay. So oftentimes we're forced to conform. We're often forced to blend in. But true greatness is rooted in uniqueness. I think about all the great people that we call great in our world, and great people did not blend in. Let's talk about a couple great people. Thinking of record setters like Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan was a basketball great in the 80s and early 90s. Michael Jordan was the primo basketball player. Michael Jordan has been retired from basketball for years. However, Michael Jordan is still a household name. People are still trying to reach the records that Michael Jordan reached when he was playing basketball. Michael Jordan is still a world renowned celebrity because of all the records that he set in basketball. I also think about people like Steve Jobs, the co founder of Apple, Macintosh. Steve Jobs was probably one of the hardest working people there ever was because he knew that he was on to something great when he was helping to invent the iPhone. Once the iPhone came out, Steve Jobs reached heights beyond imagination in the cell phone industry. To this day, Steve Jobs, although he's been gone since 2011, his legend still lives on in terms of the iPhone and what it does, the capabilities, and all the great things that were set by Steve Jobs. So he was a great leader of his time. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the, actually, he was considered the Moses of the civil rights movement. However, the civil rights movement started 10 years before Martin Luther King really even started getting notoriety in civil rights. There were people like Medgar Evers that had come along prior to Martin Luther King, who was doing everything to fight the good fight to free Black people from all the problems in the Jim Crow laws. But he wasn't given nearly as much fame and notoriety as Dr. Martin Luther King. Dr. Martin Luther King, most people would never even hear of Medgar Evers unless you've really studied history or have been in schools that really study Black history. But Dr. Martin Luther King was the one that was given all the credit or most of the credit for the civil rights movement because of his courage and speaking out and all of the great speeches that he did. Now, Martin Luther King to me was one of those people that just, in my opinion, was born to do great things. When you look back at his life story, his biography, Martin Luther King was a person who graduated high school at 16 years of age and went to Morehouse College. He graduated early, did all these things that most young people don't do because his life was rooted in doing the work that he needed to do. It was rooted in his destiny. So that being said, he literally reached great heights. And all of this to say that when you are doing the things that God wants you to do, you might be considered odd. You know, he said that my people are peculiar. You know, his people don't have we just don't blend in, guys. We don't blend in with everybody. You will stand out in some kind of way. And it is those unique talents that you have to use. Don't let people dummy you down and tell you not to use the things that you need to use, or tell you that you shouldn't do certain things that you know God is calling you to do because it makes other people uncomfortable. Remember, great people set records, very high records. Great people move in ways that other people won't move. Great people do things that other people won't do. They take the time to dedicate themselves to whatever it is, the purpose that they're working on. And that uniqueness, that greatness, honing in on that talent, honing in on that purpose is what will set you apart and set records in your life. You might not even be trying to set records. You might set a record of winning souls to Christ, and you might not even know what really great things you did until you reach heaven. But it really comes about focusing on your purpose and what you're great at. In addition to greatness, I want to talk a little bit about authenticity in the form of authentic leadership theory. There is a theory called authentic leadership theory that was formed in the early 2000s after scandals like Enron, September 11th, when all of the craziness in the world happened and people couldn't trust the leaders to be ethical. So, what they were doing was looking for high ethical standards in leadership. And that's where this theory was formed and is still being honed at this particular time. So, again, like I said, it's relatively new in comparison to some other leadership theories. But what it is that people want to be able to trust their leaders. Credibility and trustworthiness go hand in hand. And again, credibility, trustworthiness are all tied to authenticity. If people see you trying to emulate someone else and be like someone else, act like someone else, you can't answer a question when they come to you because you want to know how so and so would have answered that question. So you tell them, I'm going to get back with you because I want to answer that correctly. There's nothing wrong with researching things, but when you research them, give them the answer in your voice, in your terms and understanding, not go to someone else and try to emulate what they would say or say, what would this person say? And I want to say it like them. Just be you. Be you. Um, Authentic leadership is really a theory that followers or followership is an integral part of because it was created by followers, people who wanted authentic leaders. So when that authentic leader shows up, when that authentic leader is available in your organization, the greatest thing to do is support them 100%. Put your support in them and behind them to accomplish the things for the organization that they need to do. So, the impact of your authentic voice is really about leading with heart, HEART. And I want to talk a little bit about that. Heart. H is for humanity, showing benevolence to humanity. E is for edification, be edifying and lead morally. A is for taking action, take action and be of good courage. R is for responsibility. Be responsible with the resources and the things you are entrusted with by God. T is for trustworthiness. Prove you are trustworthy. Gain people's trust. Credibility is built on authenticity. Now, authenticity and being an authentic leader, you have to recognize one thing. It is really about being influential versus being powerful. The word power really should not have a negative connotation when it is related to leadership, but oftentimes it does. Mainly because people who have been in positions of power have abused that power. Okay, we want to let you know that abuse of power is abuse of power. And it is not okay, no matter what position that the person has held. It comes down to understanding power in the form of influence, not power over people because power erodes relationships, but power to influence people to accept the vision and the goals and the different things that the leader is setting forth. Now, again, I always talk about leadership not being a position of power and leadership not being a management high ranking role necessarily. Leadership can happen at any level in an organization. You can be a leader in your community, you can be a leader in your school, you can be a leader in your organization as an entry level, in an entry level position. Leadership, again, is about the power to influence people toward the good and the goals that are set forth, not power over people. That's so important to understand. A really great way to hone your leadership skills is to study a group of gentlemen called Kouzes and Posner. I don't have their first name right now, but they are people who have studied leadership all over the world. And they have come up with 5 behaviors that all exemplary leaders from the United States to South America, all over the world, display. And these 5 behaviors are considered, so to speak, the boundary, the goal, the bar in which everyone should be striving for. So I'm going to read those 5 behaviors and what they mean. And as you demonstrate those behaviors and grow in those behaviors, you build credibility. But again, you have to do them authentically. Number 1 is modeling the way. Leaders create standards and principles of excellence and set an example for others to follow. And leaders have to demonstrate them. They have to demonstrate it. Number 2, inspiring a shared vision. There's that word inspire again. Leaders use persuasion and charisma to enlist others to share the possibilities. Number 3, challenging the process. This is good. Leaders search for opportunities to change the status quo through innovation and a mindset of improvement. Remember, leaders don't just accept stagnation. Leaders don't live in stagnation. They're always seeking to improve and make things better. Number 4, enabling others to act. Leaders foster collaboration and involve others in their work, decisions, and development. Number 5, encouraging the heart, as I said before, leading with heart. Leaders recognize the contributions of others and celebrate their accomplishments. So once again, leaders are putting people out in the forefront, allowing other people to shine, and literally leading people to greatness. Not so much, I'm the leader, I have to stand out in the crowd. Like this picture here. You don't have to stand out in the middle of the crowd, but you can influence the crowd. Give them the ability to think on their own. Give them the ability to catch the vision and move forward. That's the type of leadership that authentic leaders do. They show those 5 behaviors of exemplary leadership often. Lastly, in November of 2016, William Arruda wrote an article in Forbes magazine titled 9 Differences Between a Manager and a Leader. And I want to read those. Leaders create vision. Managers create goals. Number 2, leaders are change agents. Managers maintain the status quo. Number 3, leaders are unique and authentic. Managers are a copy. Number 4, leaders take risk and managers control risk. Number 5, leaders are in it for the long haul. Managers rely on existing and proven skills. Number 7, let me go back. Number 5, leaders are in it for the long haul. Managers think short term. Number 6, leaders grow personally. Managers rely on existing and proven skills. My apologies on that. Number 7, leaders build relationships and managers build systems and processes. Number 8, leaders coach, managers direct. Number 9, leaders create fans. managers have employees. That is something to really think about as you're honing your leadership skills. And again, leadership is not about a position of management or a position of power, but a place of influence.